Hey lovely people, how are you? I'll just get my chat up. It is lovely to have you with me. I'm Libby from Truly Myrtle, and I'm also the founder of Wardrobe Toolbox. It's where you come to find out how you make your garments fit you just the way you want. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about some of that today. So welcome to my podcast. This is a weekly podcast. I beam out every Thursday morning live, so you can join me for a chat. And we talk all about knitting and making and spinning, and I'm going to do some sewing soon, so I'll talk to you about sewing as well, all sorts of making things. I'm down here in New Zealand. It is coming into winter. We've got our jumpers out. We're knitting. We're loving it. And yeah, it's lovely to see you on live. I can see people joining now. Hi, Becky. How are you? So I've had a change recently. I was going out live in my Hangout, which is a Facebook group we have for all the people knitting Truly Myrtle patterns and using Truly Myrtle yarn. And oh, hi, how are you? Copy here by the log burner. Nice. Cozy, I think you mean, Sabrina. I've actually got the door open. I'm particularly warm today. I was hard to find this morning. Sorry about that, Lynn. I'm now broadcasting out from my page, my Facebook page, because I used to go out in our Hangout, and it's a really good group to come and join if you are on Facebook and you do want to join a really friendly, supportive knitting group. Come and join us over in the Hangout. There's thousands of people over there, and it's a really good place to ask questions. If you're knitting a Truly Myrtle pattern or you want to feel inspired, come over there, and people are really friendly. And so that's on Facebook. It's called the Knit and Chat Hangout. Normally I'd go out there, but Facebook changed the rules a couple of weeks ago. So now I'm going live on my page, and I also beam out into YouTube. So you can also catch me on YouTube. I have to figure out how to do a preview thing on both of those places. I haven't quite worked that out, but I will do, and then you will know where I am. You can just click it to come and find me. All right, let's have a look and see you. Hi everybody, it's so nice to see you. Oh, it's sunny in Kimbolton, Claire. It is so drizzly, and Ruth is saying it's chilly this morning. It's damp here, but in grey, but I'm not overly chilly. But that could I think that's it's a personal thermal thing going on. Hi, Barbara, nice to see you. It's sunny in Rangiora. Okay, the further we get south in New Zealand, the sunnier it gets. Hi, Kim. I can't say hello to you all. There's so many of you. Hi, Bernadette. Nice to see you. Foggy in Greytown. It's like us. South Canterbury, you'll foresee a fire and knitting in your afternoon. Oh, nice, Heather. Nice. Hi, Terry. It's a winter's day down south. Yes. Well, it's definitely wintry. I am just loving the wintry weather, I have to say. It's really, really nice. And for those of you in Wardrobe Toolbox, we have another session today because we're coming live this afternoon. So I don't know, some of you won't know about Wardrobe Toolbox. It's a platform that I developed over 4 years ago, and it's a place to join and find out how to knit garments that fit you. We talk about, we really want to feel inspired, and we come along. It's a lovely community, and you come along and we talk about how to choose a size, all about yarn. We talk about modifications and how to make them, and more. There's so many things we talk about over there. We've got someone who's helping us at the moment, and she is running a whole sewing series for people that want to sew. We have a lot of spinners. We have all sorts of makers there, but the one thing we have in common is we knit. And so predominantly what we discuss over there is knitting and and garments. We love garments. There are people there who have knitting their first garment, are sort of tentatively thinking of starting, and there are people there who have been knitting garments for years and years. It's a really broad range of experience, but it's such a nice place. And we have live videos almost every week. There'll be something on, and we have one this afternoon. So those people will see me twice today, which will be rather nice. Now, the thing I wanted to talk to you about this morning is something that came up in Wardrobe Toolbox the other day. And I thought, this is a good thing actually to talk about in general, because it's something I've noticed a little bit lately. And I thought, okay, let's just talk about it a bit more for everybody else, because I think it's something that is just a key piece of information that's good to know when you're choosing a size. So we're going to talk about that. I've also had a request. Someone, after I rearranged all my yarn the other day, someone said, could you show us some of the yarn in your stash? And I thought, I guess I could. I could show you some of my pieces that I'm quite keen to cast on and talk about those. So it's just a bit of a show and tell as well. I'm going to wrap up and talk about some of the yarn off my shelf, and then we'll wrap up at the end of that. We'll probably talk for about, I don't know, half an hour. That's a good time, isn't it? To grab a cup of tea, sit down, do a few rows, and talk about knitting. I like that idea. So the first thing I've noticed recently that a few patterns, I've noticed a few people saying about patterns that if you are a size X bust, you should knit X size. And it's the way they describe things in the pattern. So it's an expectation that you will, it's sort of an off-the-rack expectation of knitting. And I've decided not to do that in my patterns. And I thought I would talk to you a little bit about why I don't do that. Not everybody does that, but I've just noticed a little bit lately. And I think it is an effort to try and simplify things for people. And I appreciate that. It would be nice if life was simple and we could just grab something off the rack and it would fit. But we all know that it's not necessarily like that. And so if we want to make something just work for us and all of our lumps and bumps that we develop over the years, then often we need to adjust things just so they fit us properly, or just so we feel good in them. So the way I do it is I give you the finished measurements for a pattern. And I've got a pattern here. It's actually the one that's behind me on my model. Floozy 2. I originally did this as a cardigan and then I turned it into a jumper. I wear that jumper a lot. You can't see, but it's quite pilly. It needs to be de-pilled. It's a beautiful soft yarn I got from Yarn Floozy, and we did that one in a collaboration together. It was really, really fun. And how do I make it so you can see her a bit better? There we go. It was really fun, and the Floozy and the Floozy 2 have been really popular patterns. They're knitted on the yoke and it's all slip stitches, so it's a really good one to start. If you are nervous about colour work, it's a good one to start with. So I have the Floozy 2 pattern here. This is the pattern itself. I've got these little booklets that I sell on my website, and so and some of the shops carry them, so you can grab a little booklet. It's got a nice card cover if you like having something printed out. In the pattern, will give you the finished measurements. Now, I say that specifically on the back. I say here finished measurements, and I give you a bust circumference. It's standard in finished measurements to give you, as the first measurement, a bust circumference. That's standard. And that we're talking about our full bust around here. So when you have knitted this garment, if you knit one of these, how many sizes have I got? One of these 9 sizes here, and you get gauge, and you follow it exactly how I've written it, your bust circumference will be one of these measurements, depending on which size you chose. And I've got them in inches and in centimetres. But that's what you see when you pick up the pattern. First of all, on the back, when you're buying the pattern from me, that'll be your second page. So you get the PDF when you buy it as a PDF. The second page will be this one. But don't stop there. I want you to turn to the sizing page, which in the printed pattern is right at the back. It's also towards the back in the PDF pattern. And here I have all the finished measurements for all of these bits indicated on the diagram here. The finished measurements are in inches and in centimetres. And so what this tells us is when you're knitting and you get your stitches are the same size as mine, that means your gauge is the same as mine. You get the same number of stitches to the 10 centimetres or 4 inches and the same number of rows, or rounds in this case, because it's all knitted in the round. Then your garment, when it's finished, will be these measurements. Okay, it's a really good place to start. So you know what you're shooting for. You also know if you don't get gauge, you're not going to get these numbers. And you can work out the numbers you will get. That's the kind of thing we do discuss a lot in Wardrobe Toolbox. So that if you don't get gauge, you can then say, okay, well, I'm getting this gauge. So what size should I knit to get the size of garment that I'm after? And then you find that pattern. We have handouts and things that help you with that. But these are finished measurements. So I don't say to you, hey, if you're a 40-inch bust, you should knit this size. That's going to work out for you, because I have absolutely no clue if that's going to work out for you. I don't know if you have a really full 40-inch bust that everything is out the front and you have little shoulders and a small back. I don't know that. I also don't know if you have a 40-inch bust but you were an incredible swimmer and actually your shoulders are even broader, and so you have very broad shoulders even though you have quite a full bust comparatively to some people. I don't know any of those things. I also don't know what your arms are doing. I don't know whether you have long, slender arms and whether that works in proportion to your bust. And I don't know whether you have really muscly arms and that you or you carry more weight in your arms, and so you want a different arm size. Those are things I don't know. So I give you the sort of off-the-rack sizes because that's standard. I don't know how else I would do it. And my expectation is that you are a proportional person, that you are proportionate between your shoulders and your bust and your arms and your waist and your hips, that you're relatively proportionate. Now, what I do is I give you slightly generous arms because I have slightly disproportionate arms to the rest of me. And after all, I have to model everything and I don't make any modifications. I do knit them off the rack. And so I do just give you just a little bit of room in your arm. And that's because when I'm out in public and I look at women, which I do a lot, and I look and see how they're all built these days and where we're gaining weight and where we carry, when we're more fleshy, my observation is that you do have fuller arms. That a lot of women do. So I sort of thought, okay, I don't feel so bad about that. I'll just have slightly more fuller arms in my patterns. It's not a lot, but it's just a little bit. So those are the things that I want you to go to first and have a little look at when you're choosing a size. What that means is you fit into the sweater. Now we talk about something called ease, and here on the back I say for this particular, that jumper that I've got up there, I say it's shown in size 3 with approximately 3 inches of positive ease, and that's me in it there. So what I'm telling you is that is a size 3, and on me it has 3 inches of positive ease, and that means this garment is 3 inches all the way round bigger than me. So at this point I think my bust size was probably about a 36, I'm imagining 37 maybe. Hang on, let's just see what circumference is size 3. 39.5. Yeah, I imagine I was about somewhere between a 36 and a 37 inch bust. And this garment, the bust measurement is 39.5 inches. So there's about 3 inches difference between me, that body, this part of me, my boobs under here, and the garment at the bust. When we're talking about ease and we say it's got this much ease, we're only talking about the bust, always the bust. I'm not talking about arms, I'm not talking about tummies, I'm not talking about hips, I'm talking about bust. And that is very standard. If you hear ease, they're talking about the bust. So I said also it's designed to be worn with about 2 to 6 inches of positive ease. That's quite a lot of difference. So that means the difference between you and the garment is anywhere between 2 inches bigger than you all the way around, or 6 inches bigger than you all the way around. I think in inches, that's why I always talk in inches. But hopefully you can keep up with that. When you have 2 inches, which on my tape measure is only this much, it's about 5 centimeters. When you have 2 inches and you spread that out, it's not 2 inches like that. It's not like all that all the way around me. It's 2 inches added on to my 36.5 inches. So it's just a tiny fraction around bigger than me. It's just a little bit bigger than me. And to be honest, I was talking about it with someone the other day. This garment is the same. It's the same amount of ease. You can see it has a skims my bust. Actually, I have a bigger bust these days, and a bigger back. So maybe it's a little bit more skimming than I would like to think. But it skims me. It's not terrifically boobalicious, but it's also just, it doesn't cling to me so bad, especially down my tummy area. It sort of falls nicely on me. It's a nice fit around my arms. It's quite roomy. I've got a nice bit of room to move in this sweater. It's the same. That when I wore that is the same. These are the same sort of amounts of ease. I quite like about 3 inches of ease. It's somewhere between really being reasonably fitted and being baggy. I'm not fabulous with baggy. Personally, I think I'm too short, or there's something about me. I just can't really manage it all the time. Sometimes I can. It depends on the fabric. So this one is also 3 inches of ease. Someone said, what am I wearing? This is Maiden. This is my Maiden sweatshirt, but I made it again. Maiden again, in a fingering yarn. My original one was made in a linen merino, Falkland merino blend. And I made this one in a merino, it's a single actually, merino single with just a splash of linen. And so it's quite different. The other was 50-50. This is more jumpery, it's soft. It's got a lot of movement in the fabric itself. It's quite stretchy, and I just use little scraps for this. But I also changed it up. I did different at the cuffs, and I did a regular bind off at the hem, but I still did the little tail at the back. So yeah, this is Maiden. I like this one. Someone says, do you design them to wear shirts underneath? It looks like you don't wear anything under them. I don't particularly. I've got a tank top. I wear a tank top under these. Sometimes in the winter I wear a long sleeve top, but I tend to move to different jumpers when I'm wearing those. I quite like just a warm layer. These are fingering. This wouldn't see me through the winter, this jersey. This one is a good, we're getting colder or we're getting warmer jumper, but it's not a flip, it's really cold outside, I need to wear something really warm sort of weight. Not for me. A sport weight kind of is getting to that. This is a 4-ply or fingering. So I tend to wear them, I don't wear them ever with nothing underneath. I always wear something, but it's usually a singlet. Like I have just a little tank singlet, you can see here. Just a tank top singlet. It's quite a thick cotton singlet. Sometimes I wear a merino singlet underneath. And that suits me really well at this time of year. When I move into winter, then I do have some slightly baggier jumpers. Sometimes I'll wear them with a little fine top underneath. I don't often wear shirts underneath things. If I'm going to wear a shirt, I tend to wear a cardigan. That's just my style. Or else I have some nice sort of thick cotton knit stretchy tops that just I tuck in. I'm one of those kids that liked their pajamas tucked in. I like to be tucked in. And I tuck them in and I'm all cozy. Everything's cozy underneath. I'm long sleeves. Often I'll pull my sleeves out from under my cuff. Sometimes I'll wear a merino under that. And then I have a slightly baggier jumper over the top. And yeah, that tends to be what I wear. That's quite a long thing. Okay, I'm going to come back to the pattern in a second. Let's just see what you're saying. Someone said, oh, you're in the process of frogging Sesha. I nearly put on Sesha today, but I think maybe I just want to be slightly warmer. But I adore that top. I wear it a lot. She said, I'm not happy with alternating balls down the sides. Are there any tricks when changing balls between rows? You know, Tanya, you could, it depends on your skeins, I think, and it's difficult to know, but you will have had a sense of it when you're already knitting. Are you getting stripes as you're knitting? Because if you are, your skeins are really quite different. But if they're not, and you're not obviously noticing stripes, you could alternate a little bit and then go into one of the skeins and then alternate a little bit and then go into the next skein. If you think that they're more or less the same, I would just do a little bit of sort of jiggering them together and then down. If they are quite different, then it's hard, isn't it? Because I tend to alternate when they're quite different. Or hand spun, I do tend to hand dyed, I do tend to alternate, but I don't always. And if I'm getting really obvious stripes, I would throw in a third skein to try and break that up, which is not the answer to what you're saying, because you don't want to alternate the balls down the sides. I think that just the thing to be careful of when you are alternating down the sides is don't twist your yarns out like that. Because it will make everything tighter and it will just drag it together. Like sleeves, I don't tend to alternate sleeves. Unless I have a real problem with skeins not matching, I tend to use a skein. I try and make them blend at the top, and then I will just go into something different underneath and I'll just use one skein. I really find alternating down the sleeve a pain in the neck. So I try not to do it, but I will do it down the body, and I won't link my yarns like that. I just have them lying like that as I work down the body. When you're doing it, I think you'll know what I mean. Don't twist the yarns around each other as you're changing. It just makes everything tight. But it is a bit of a pain having to manage several balls. You can get, and I think it would be not a bad idea, you can get those little bags. I think Cocoa Knits might do some. And they sort of snap shut at the top, and so you've got your balls. They're not just rolling all over the show, and they're not getting totally tangled. They might tangle towards the top. You might have to unravel a bit, but you can lock them into the little bags, and I think that would be quite helpful just to make sure they're separate. But it's been a while. When was the last time I knitted a hand spun? I've been knitting like machine dyed stuff, I realise, for a while. I did my shawl and hand spun, but I think it's been a wee while since I did a hand spun jumper. Hand spun. What do I keep saying hand spun for? I mean hand dyed. I'm trying to think now. I'm working on one at the moment that is sort of a kettle dye, but I'm not alternating. I'm just going for it. And yeah, I think it might have been a while. Anyway, but that's what I would do. I would not link them, and I'd try and keep them relatively separate. When I am doing it, I put one, and I haven't got those bags or anything, I put one ball on one side and one ball on the other side of me, and then I physically move the balls as I'm changing. But you could do it every second round. If you're not noticing crazy striping, you could do it every second round, and just that gives you a little bit more of a breather rather than every round. If you were knitting flat, you would be alternating every second row. So I maybe do it every second round. See how you feel about that. Oh yes, Marina, you knit 2 floozy sweaters and 1 cardie. Yours are lovely. Sabrina says, I'm working my way down the body of Floozy 2 at the moment. I'm looking forward to wearing her pats next week. Sabrina, you are just a machine. You've knit so many lovely jumpers lately. Hi Lisa, it's so cold where you are. It's pouring with rain now. Can you hear it? I've actually left the door open. It's pouring with rain. I'll probably start being cold. Sarah says, well, hi from Adelaide. Nice to see you. And there's Susan from Oregon. Becky says, my arms are 2 sizes smaller than the bust size in Truly Myrtle patterns. I've learnt to adapt. Yeah, Becky, your knits are transformed, aren't they? You are making some absolutely beautiful stuff. And yeah, you've adapted. And that's the kind of thing we talk about. How do I get my arm into this pattern? Okay, I'll go back. Oh, thanks, Lisa. Yes, I had my hair cut the other day. The hairdresser straightened my hair. She said, should we straighten it? And I thought, people have no idea what to do with curly hair. And I've been to her once before, but I said, oh, what the hell, go on, straighten it. Because the alternative is I walk out looking like a sort of a CNN news reader person, because they curl it up, and then either that or I look like sort of Shirley Temple. It's one of the two. Or they straighten it, and then I look absolutely ridiculous. I look ridiculous with poker straight hair. It doesn't look like me. I just look... So my husband looked at me like, who are you? It was like when he shaved his beard off, and I thought, quickly grow it back, I don't like it with no beard. And then the kids looked at me and just said, oh wow, what have you done to your hair? So I washed it. What's the wool? Oh, the wool for this is a South African wool. Oh flip, I can see it I can see the ball band in my, it's up there. I just rewound up the rest of it. I can see it. It's not yammer. It's something else. Something flower, I think. I'll have to remember. If I remember, I'll tell you again, Linda. Otherwise, ask me again and I'll grab the skein. Susan says, love the yarn in your new Maiden fingering, but which brand? Oh, yeah. Okay. Should I get it? I don't know if I should get it. It's up there. It's called, she's a South African dyer. It's a South African dyer, and, but it's a merino single with a splash of linen. So you can find merino with a splash of linen. That will give you this look. It's a beautiful, beautiful colour though. But yes, she's a South African dyer, and she's not Yammer. That's another one. It's a different one. I saw her stuff the other day and I've forgotten. Hi Maureen, nice to see you. Yes, houses being so much warmer, the need for DK jumpers is a lot less. Now this is true, Terry. When I lived in England and we had the central heating, I did not wear DK jumpers. I wore fingering jumpers and cardigans, and that's what I would knit for myself. And when I moved back to New Zealand, I was freezing because the house was so freaking cold. And and up here in Auckland, you don't even wear a coat when you go out. So you do wear a coat when it gets really cold, but that's not like your staple piece of kit, a coat and a hat and a scarf and gloves, and it's just not. And so I froze. I absolutely froze. I was always cold. And so I started making more heavyweight jumpers in DK, and I do quite like them. I still like them when the weather gets cold, but the houses are a lot warmer. So I might have to whip it off when the fire's going and everything's toasty and warm inside. But yeah, it's definitely a fingering, more of a fingering weather. Look up yarn forward for helical knitting. It works well for single strips. Yeah, so you just keep, is that when you move the stitch marker all the way around? It depends what shaping you've got. I suppose you could still do shaping, but you just alternate at a different place. Barbara's got a good idea. She's got the little organza bags that you sometimes get with your yarn. She says Dreamfire provides them. That's quite good just to pop your ball of knitting in, and then you pull the top shut, and then it doesn't go everywhere. Amelia, was that the last cardie? Oh, Di, good on you, good memory. If it was Di, then that was this time last year. That's a long time. Because what have I done since then? I did Pickle and I did Alex. I've just done Ginger Bliss and I'm doing a new one. Yeah, that's a long time. Oh, well, we better fix that, hadn't we? What are the wools on your sweater? Yvonne, these are from my stash. This is just scraps. I just use bits and pieces of fingering to make the top. So it was anything I had. I keep my little bits and pieces and I put them into little skeins when I get round to it, because that makes it more attractive for me to want to choose them. And then I feel like I'm shopping in my stash when everything's back in a skein. And then I put these colours together and I mixed it with this beautiful fingering that I got from, I'm going to try and figure out who it is without getting up, because if I go and get up over there, it's just a pain. I probably won't figure it out, but if they're listening to me, they might come up first on my social media. No, not coming up. I'll just see if I can see who it is. I'm pretty sure I did put it over there. Oh, you'll have to ask me another day. It's not Yammer. I just saw Yammer. It's the other one. Someone can have a little look. It's another one in South Africa. It's I bet she's got something here and I can't find it. Sorry guys, this is bonkers. Not Woolen Violet. It could be Woolen Violet. Is it Woolen Violet? Oops, today's it'll make noise probably. No, it's not that one. I can't think who it is, but we'll figure it out. Yes, Alyssa says, my arms are a size larger than the Truly Myrtle patterns. We just get used to altering once we figure it out. I bought merino stash of linen from Union Fibre. Yeah, Union Fibre will have, hers will be exactly right. It'll be perfect. What's your next design? Can I share my plans? Yes, and the next thing that's coming out is a cardigan. And it's a fingering cardigan. It won't be long. Maureen said, I wore a coat and 5 layers for my walk today. Yarn Therapy does a nice merino linen. Yes, Yarn Therapy does. And the other person that does, there's another New Zealander that does a nice merino linen. She's Pip. I can't remember. Miro Yarns. I think she does one too. Look, I think they're all over the show. It's a merino linen. The reason I like it is because it's mostly wool with just a splash of linen. So to me, it slightly pulls it down a notch and makes it feel a little more relaxed. It's not quite the sweatshirt that I had with the 50/50, which really feels like a sweatshirt rather than a jumper. So it has a jumper feel. But these flecks, the little whitey bits that you can see through that's the linen. And I think it relaxes it, and it certainly feels nice to wear. So, but it doesn't take enough away from the merino that it doesn't hold itself together. So it's a lovely yarn. I quite like a wool merino. Merino is usually a merino. Or a BFL, something like that, with a splash of silk or a splash of linen. I quite like those where they just have a little bit, like anywhere from 10 to 20%. So often you get around 15 or 20%. Around there, I think it's just a really nice splash to it. Obviously, some shawls can look absolutely beautiful in a 50/50 silk merino, but to be honest, my favourite is just pulling it slightly back towards that wool and just having a little bit of the sheen and a little bit more of the drape, and I really like that. It appeals to me, that combination. Okay, I was halfway through telling you about choosing a size and patterns, so let's do that because now I've gone right off on a tangent. So I've talked about ease. That's right, I got distracted. Because I quite like this sort of ease. And so the positive ease means the garment is bigger than you, and negative ease means the garment is smaller than you. And so ease is something to think about for you personally. How much ease do you like to wear? I just told you that I like to wear these fingering weight garments that aren't too tight, although sometimes I don't mind it if they're a cardi. They're not too tight, they're not too loose, and I really like that to wear those. They're very comfortable for me. And then I like a slightly maybe 4 inches of ease in a DK garment, but sometimes I've got some that have 2. It just depends on the style I'm making, but you will get to figure out a wishbone, that's it. It's wishbone yarn. Yes, wishbone yarn for this yarn. There we are, everybody. Thank you, Bianca. You're a star. Wishbone. Anyway, you get to decide. The way to know is to go back and look at what you already like to wear. Grab your tape measure and measure it. How much ease am I liking in this garment? What is the bust circumference? And the way you can work that out is just to lay it beautifully flat and measure it. We actually had a really, really good session in Wardrobe Toolbox the other day about measuring garments, so you could figure out, it was about, ostensibly we were talking about if you want to sew something or knit something based on something else, but it was ideal for working out exactly how big your garment was, so you can replicate it in another style, that you just know, this is what I like to wear at the arms, this is what I like to wear at the bust, this is the length I like, I love this depth of a neck, I love this way. All of those things. It was a really good session. Anyway, you take your tape measure, you measure it across. If let's say you're measuring 20 inches, let's say your sweater at this point here, when you lay it flat, is 20 inches across, that means it's a 40-inch circumference, okay, because you just have to double it. Do the same for the sleeves. You measure it and double it, and then you measure the length of the sleeves. Measure all the pieces, and so you know exactly what's going on, and you think, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to write it down, otherwise you'll forget, because I always forget. That's what I like to wear, and then you can make that again. So, and I was just talking the other day to Claire, who helps me, and I said to her, you know, I was wearing that jumper, I think, and I said, I wear this all the time. I wear that and my wave crest and this all the time, and I think it's because I love the fit of them. I'm going to do some more like that, because I want more. I'm going to do some more yoke style. This is not a yoke, obviously, this is a raglan. I'm going to do some more yoke style colorwork fingering garments like that, because I wear them all the time. I love them. So anyway, I'll have to get onto that along with everything else. But anyway, so that's the place where you start. Okay, so we know that in the pattern, certainly for mine, we're talking about finished measurements. We know how much we like those finished measurements to be bigger than us, because that's the ease. We can look and see what the designer's recommended, but we don't have to pay any attention to it at all. We can be the complete boss of what we make. And then you go back to the pattern and you choose a size. There's one more step that I wanted just to quickly go over with you, and it's something we talk about quite a bit in Wardrobe Toolbox, and I don't think we can talk about it enough, because I think we hear things differently every time we hear it, and we hear what we need to learn. The way we talk about measuring size, measuring for choosing a size in Wardrobe Toolbox, is to measure our upper bust. And now, a lot of people talk about this, but I think it's a really good idea. So we put the tape measure up under our upper bust, right up tucked under our armpits. We have to be careful how we breathe, right? You can see what my upper bust is now. It's definitely grown. It's my back, you see. Don't go like that, because it'll be too big. Try and breathe normally. And then measure like this. Oh, look, you see. I'm now getting, my upper bust measurement is now bigger than my old bust measurement. I have got a jumper on underneath. I probably would measure it close to my bra, like on my skin, with a bra on. A good bra that you like wearing. Because you might get it slightly smaller. Don't go right over your skin like this. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it might be better to do it closer to your skin. So it might be a whole inch smaller. But you measure your upper bust and make a note of it. Now, you want it reasonably firm there. What this will tell you, that this size relates to your shoulders, okay? The width of you here will relate to your shoulders. Although having said that, mine's grown a little bit, so my back is bigger, but then I've probably fleshed out a bit in the top of my shoulders as well. I'm just carrying more weight all over me. So I measure my upper bust, and then from that you can choose a size. And the way you do that is you add a little bit of ease to that upper bust measurement, so that you then can choose a bust circumference size that works for you. Now, if you want something that is smaller than you want something that's nice and fitted, it fits you lovely at the shoulders, nice fit at the shoulders, but then it's quite tight around your boobs, like my little Timely cardigan that sits back open. Choose something that has about the same bust circumference as your upper bust, and that will give you a good size to fit you nice and neatly at the shoulders. If you want something that fits you so that it just absolutely skims over you at the bust, choose something with just a couple of inches, like 5 centimeters of ease, on top of that upper bust measurement. And then if you want it bigger, add on more ease after that. I have got a whole table that we've got in Wardrobe Toolbox that we talk about this quite a lot. But the idea is you add inches or centimetres to this upper bust measurement in order to find a bust measurement that's going to work for you. It's not really a bust measurement, actually. It's to find a shoulder measurement that works for you, because then everything will hang beautifully off your shoulders. Here, it may not work for you, actually. You might get to the bust, and this is where you have to think about adding some modifications. The aim of the game is to get a fabric that you love and then a good fit at the shoulders. So let's say you've done that and you found something and it's a good, nice fit at the shoulders, and you get to about here, and then you come to here and you think, holy moly, that is a good fit on me around the boobs. I didn't really want it that tight. At that point, this is where you need to start thinking about alterations to this area. You might want to add a bust dart, so you have a horizontal bust dart, so that you have a little bit more room, so your tops don't fly up at the front. You might decide to add just a little bit more width here, so that you end up having a wider portion in this point, but it's still smaller at the top, so that you can fit the width that you want across here, so your buttons don't burst open if it's a cardigan. You might add some you might increase a little bit here and then take away some of the fabric under here, so you don't end up with a big flappy bit under your boobs. There's quite a few things you can do to make your bust circumference fit with the pattern you've chosen for your shoulders. So that's why, and the same for your arms, right? You might then measure your arms and think, oh, okay, well, I'm going to choose this for my shoulders. Actually, it works beautifully for my arms, or maybe it doesn't work beautifully for my arms. And then you might have to add more stitches down. If it's a raglan like this, you might have to add a few more stitches to get to the arms that you want. If you're working a yoke garment or a raglan garment, you'll want to add a little bit more ease to that upper bust circumference than if you were working a set-in sleeve or a drop shoulder. It's just slightly different, and so you'll just want to add a little bit more ease to those. Okay, so but these are the things we go into detail about. This is a lot of lessons that we do over there, but that gives you the general gist of it. It's why I put finished measurements and not, if you're a 40-inch bust, you would want to knit this one. That's why I don't do that. Bianca says, I always find my shoulders are a size smaller than my overall body size. Yeah, I think so. So that you end up knitting something and then needing to adjust for all the rest of this. But this part here is what you want to be just fit you nicely through here, so it doesn't all slop off and it doesn't all have this neck that's too big for you, or that it doesn't just be too baggy. And the other is true. If you have very broad in the shoulders and you have very straight, broad, strong shoulders, you do not want to choose a size based on your smaller bust, proportionately smaller bust. It will not fit your shoulders. And then you'll find that everything is tight and uncomfortable. And if you do a set-in sleeve, your sleeve is going to be, the seam will be up here, and it will all just not feel great. So it's the opposite works as well if you have much fuller shoulders. So I just wanted to let you know that is what I do in my patterns. Now, if you are very proportionate and your shoulders and your bust, and you never have to make alterations, and you can usually pick things off the rack because you don't have a big difference between your upper bust and your full bust, that your upper bust measurement and your full bust measurement are pretty proportional, and then you'll be fine to look at a pattern and say, okay, I'm a size 38 bust, and so I'm going to choose the one that says knit this if you're a 38 bust. That will work really well for you. But there are people all over the size range and who are not that, who are not proportional, and so not the way we expect them to be in these standard sizes. And so those are the people I'm talking to. I think you will know if you're that person already. You'll know because your tops might ride up at the front. You might find they burst open in your cardigans. You might find that you make things you choose a size to fit your shoulders and everything is just way too big at the top. The necks are too big. You just don't really want to wear anything you've made because it just feels so sloppy. That's you. If you've made something that fits your bust and it's just uncomfortable at the top, what is going on? It's uncomfortable. Or you buy shirts that fit you at the bust but they're too tight in the shoulders, or vice versa. Then that's you. I'm talking to you. That you already know if that's you. So depending on how much of a bust dart to put in and how much extra to add, that's something that we can then work out, we take measurements to work that out. So if you are interested in doing all of that, do get on the list for Wardrobe Toolbox, because this is exactly the kind of stuff we go over. We equip you with all of those tools so that you can go off and choose a pattern. You can pick up any old pattern. You can go, oh, yep, okay. I know which size I'm going to choose for me, and I know what alterations I'm going to make. You won't learn all that overnight. It will be stage by stage by stage, because you'll learn what you need to learn at the time. But you can always adding tools to that kit so that you can approach patterns with so much more confidence to knit something that's really going to work for you. And you won't feel like, oh my goodness, I've spent $200 and something on this yarn, and now I don't even want to wear it, and what a waste of money, and oh my gosh, it's just going to sit in the naughty corner. Don't do that. It's just devastating. Absolutely devastating. So anyway, jump on the list for Wardrobe Toolbox. The doors aren't open. They will open again in September. So we'd love to see you inside. It's so much fun over there. We have an absolute ball over there. I think you will love it. Okay, so that's the first thing I just wanted to mention. We did talk about that the other day because the question came up about ease. And so I went over that, and yeah, I think it's worth just remembering. Put it into your memory bank. Okay, I wanted to quickly show you. Gosh, I've gone longer than I thought I would, because I did the dathers, didn't I, in the middle. I wanted to show you a couple of yarns off my shelf. And these are yarns that, one of them I got a wee while ago, and then another one I bought just recently. And these are sweatshirt yarns. This is a sweatshirt yarn for me. And I'll tell you what I'm planning for them. What I dream for them. They're both by BC Yarn, and they're BioBalance. I actually bought them here in New Zealand from two different shops. I got this one at Lupine and Parnell, and I got this one from Paper and Scissors. When I got all the little cocoa knits, I got oh, I didn't show you. I showed Wardrobe Toolbox people. I got some new markers, and I got a new stitch counter because mine broke, and a whole bunch of stuff from them, cocoa knit stuff. And I threw in some yarn as well. Now I already had this, and I've got more of this than I do of this. I saw this in the shop, and I thought, oh, I want a sweatshirt in that, like this, but more sweatshirty. I want a sweatshirt. I sort of had this vision of having something that was maybe a drop shoulder, something I could just throw on and nice and cozy, not too hot. It's a 55% wool and 45% cotton, and it's a fingering weight yarn. Now, the thing about it is it's organic wool and organic cotton, which appeals to me. I do rather like organic things. The thing about it is I am conscious that if I made this, my elbows will be pouchy. I'm a bit nervous about having pouchy elbows in this yarn because it's half wool. It's it's not a crazy tight fiber. I don't want to knit it too tight. And I'm thinking that our elbows might be a bit pouchy. So my plan for it is to do those sort of, I could do half-length sleeves. I don't want to do either a little bit loose around my sleeve, because I don't want to have a little pocket in my sleeve when I'm wearing it, which I think I might get. I like to either do a half sleeve like I did with Sesha, which I love that sleeve. I really must do it again. Or I do something that's a little bit baggier, so that I do have a lot of room to move. That was my thought with that, but I'm thinking a sweatshirt. I just fancy a sweatshirt in it. Then I saw this one on the Paper and Scissors website, and I thought, oh, actually I want a summer top in it as well. And I think I want a dark summer top, and something it'll fall beautifully with all the cotton in it. And I'm thinking I want something with a shorter sleeve, not long down like this. I didn't get as much, and just a summery top, and something that can just sort of flow, not too loose, I don't think, but not too tight either. Some sort of little summery top. This is as far as I've got with it, but I saw that and I thought, oh, I could just picture myself wearing that in the summer. I think it would be lovely. Maybe with a pair of pants underneath, or trousers for the British ones of you watching, or a skirt or something. I'm not sure. Or just over the top of a dress. But anyway, I got enough to make a top. So I thought they were really, really pretty. And I think that for those sort of light summery yarns, for those of us in the Southern Hemisphere or in parts of America who get quite hot in the summer, and for who wearing a fingering weight woolen summer top is just absolutely out of the question because we get so much hotter, this might be a nice option. This might be a halfway house. I don't know. On those days when you really can't wear sleeves at all, it might be still a little bit hot. But I think that could see me through a wee bit of the summer, actually. Certainly a top version of it without too much sleeve because of the amount of cotton in it. So anyway, that's the one I thought I'd show you first. Bio Balance from BC Garn, 55% pure organic wool, 45% pure organic cotton. And it is 225 meters per 50 grams. So that's about 450 meters per 50 grams. So it's the blend of yarn. I just read that. Did you get that? 55 wool, 45 cotton, both organic. So it's 225 meters per 50 grams. So that's 450 meters per 100 grams. This is going to go a long way. That is a really nice weight. It's not quite as light as the Meadow yarn from Fibre Company. That's 500, I think. But it's a little bit lighter than your average fingering. It's a light fingering. Fingering normally is around 400 meters per 100 grams, and this is 450. So I think it'll be lovely, lovely, lovely to wear. I think it actually would work really well as a top. So it does say needle sizes it recommends. I usually ignore those. I go for the size that gives me a fabric that I want. So there we are. That is my show and tell for today. A bit of Bio Balance. If you're keen for some for your stash, I think that'd be a great summer top. And sweatshirty top, summer top is what I'm thinking. I'm definitely having a green moment. I'm having another green moment. At least I am today. I seem to have quite a lot of green going on. All right, everybody. It was so lovely to see you. Oh, you've made, let me just see what you say. Got that stash in 2 different blues. Yeah, had some nice. It's one of those ones where the colours are just absolutely lovely and you're not sure which one to choose. I was half expecting this to be a little bit more inky. It's quite denim, but I like it. It is really lovely. I'm not sure what colour it says. Colour 14, and this one is colour 3. Andrea said I've made Caitlin Hunter's Manarola tea in the Bio Balance. Oh, you see, I think that could work. I think it could work, and I think it could get you through a fair whack of the summer without it being. Depends how hot your summer is. we had a really hot summer last year, but the summer before I could have worn it all summer. Once you have finished frogging, do you wash the yarn? And it's tricky to knit crinkly yarn. We covered that in Wardrobe Toolbox too, actually, Tanya. We refreshed our yarn and we went over what you do when you've finished knitting. And it depends how long it's been sitting in your skein. You could just re-knit it if you've just knit it and then you frog it. Otherwise, yeah, I would wash it and reskein it up. And you might want to hang it. Depends what kind of fibres it is. But I would definitely try and get some of those crinkles out of it. You can steam it. It's not really, I did a whole lot of different methods to show different ways of doing it. Steaming is quite time consuming. I think washing it is probably the best way to do it. But do it all the same. Don't do some and not others. Even if you haven't knitted some of the skeins, I would do it all the same because you just want it to all have been treated the same before you start again. I think you might find your gauge will be slightly different. Oh, Yarn On. Oh, thank you, Heather. So here's another shop in New Zealand, certainly, that has this Bio Balance yarn. Yarn On that's Julie, has Bio Balance on sale for $10.40 until Sunday. That's a really good price. So go back and if you want to grab that, that's a great price, $10.40 a skein until Sunday. I think it's her anniversary sale. I think her shop's been open a wee while now, so it's really nice to go and support her. I'm not frogging at all. Tanya, I just wouldn't bother then washing it. If you're, let me think. If it's been sitting around for years and you're only frogging some of it, then maybe wash the garment and wash the yarn. If you have only just knit it, just knit it. If only just knit it and you frogged it and maybe it's just been a few weeks or something, just go back and knit it. It will look a bit wonky. You might want to you might want to steam it. You might want to. I think it'll be fine if you've only just done it. It won't have really set in over a long period of time. It's when that loop really sets in that's a problem for you. But if you just unfrog it, you might want to just let it sit for a bit out of this before you re-knit it. You can put it back into a skein and let it sit for a bit. might settle down a wee bit, or you could just cast on and see. You'll know pretty quick what's happening. Just make sure you keep an eye on it, and as you're going, you could just steam it and then see if it settles down and if it looks the same as the other stuff. I mean, that'd be the best way to know what's actually happening. Does it want to go like the other stuff when you give it a quick steam? Because then it will be fine in the end. And just be mindful of your gauge as you're going. Maybe check your gauge as you're going along. Steam it and check your gauge. Otherwise, the reason I say that, I mean, it sounds a bit pedantic, but you don't want to end up with a line where you've got one gauge here and one gauge there, particularly if it's somewhere like this where you'll see it on you. So just check that your gauge is much the same between the two. That's your main worry, is that it will change as you're knitting crinkly yarn. But more often than not, you'll be fine if you've only just done it. Okay, everybody, I'm going to fly. It was so nice to see you today. Wardrobe Toolboxes, I will see you this afternoon for another catch-up. We're having a refresh session today. We're going to go over some material that we've already had, and we look at it all together and we talk about it and ask our questions, and it's always really lots of good fun. I will see you all next week, same time, same place. And what's next week? I can't remember. I was going to talk about something else with you next week. I think I've written it down. I will see you then. Happy knitting in the meantime, and take care, everyone. See you later. Bye.